friends, and welcome back to the With Love podcast. My name is Ronnie, and we're back in 2026. It is literally crazy. I'm filming this on January 12th, which means that we're almost 2 weeks into the new year. So hopefully when this is uploaded, it's at 2 weeks or a little past. We are starting back with semester 2 of this school year, and that also means it's softball season, which means that I'm crazy busy this semester, but I am so excited about the podcast, and obviously we have a new setup. We're kind of getting official now. It was a long time coming. I think I talked about in the first few episodes that I wanted a microphone really badly and that I was ordering one, and I just honestly never did, but I got a whole setup for Christmas, and so I'm really excited about that. But going into 2026, I am someone who just gets so excited about the new year. I just love a good vision board, a good just list of resolutions. Things honestly like that really just inspire and encourage me going into the new year. And last year, I actually think I did a pretty decent job of accomplishing a lot of my New Year's resolutions. So I was just even more excited to go into this year and really just set some good resolutions, some good goals for myself, and I just wanted to do those on the podcast. I kind of wanted to share with you my resolutions, where my heart was at with those, and things that I'm doing to achieve those and to continue pursuing those resolutions. So let's get into it. I'm super excited about today. Here we go. Okay, so really quick before we do start, I do want to kind of preface this with something that I heard in church the other day, and I thought it was really, really good. The guy that was preaching was talking about that Jesus is our priority, right? Like, he is our only priority. We can have other things that are important to us, but he is the priority. And so I kind of want to make that clear, before I read these. Jesus is my priority, but there are a lot of other things that are important to me and things that I value, which is kind of what I base my resolutions around. And so there are some faith-based goals and resolutions, but a lot of these are things that just really are important to me, and just things that I really want to accomplish this year. But again, Jesus is our only priority, and I hope that you have that in your heart as well going into the new year. I also use ChatGPT to help me with my resolutions, and literally did such a great job. It made it so cutie for me, so that's what I'm going to be reading them. I originally had a huge list of resolutions, and you won't be able to see on camera, but I had a long list, and it kind of condensed them for me. And so I have other lists that kind of go more into depth on these resolutions, but this is kind of the short little condensed version. So number 1 is train with intention, not punishment. So as an athlete, it's really easy to train kind of in punishment, or for a specific, we're kind of competing for a spot. So you're training to beat that other person out, or sometimes we are training for punishment, if we have punishment running or whatever it is, which isn't super often, but as an athlete, those are things that we do. And I am someone who is very competitive, but I also love to work out outside of my sport. I found that I love running, I love weightlifting, I love Pilates, I love a lot of different forms of working out, and I want to do those more intentionally and for honestly the sole purpose of enjoyment and loving it and moving my body for the glory of God, because he gave me the ability to do so, rather than punishment, rather than doing it because I don't like the way I look today, so I need to go work out, or I'm trying to beat this person out, whatever. And obviously I'm still gonna have to do that being an athlete, but especially when I'm working out on my own, I want to do it for just being more intentional with it. And so that was the first resolution. The next one is tracking my progress, not perfection. And the one right under it also says stay patient with growth. And so these kind of go together. I think that a lot of times, and especially me, I really try to be perfect and it's just unrealistic. And even as Christians, we know that we're never going to be perfect ever. But I am someone who does really like strive for perfection sometimes, but especially when it comes to moving my body and working out, like I know that that's not always going to be the case. And so I just really need to stay patient with my growth, stay patient with my progress, because it's not going to be an overnight thing. Clearly I've trained for almost 20 years of my life for the sport that I'm playing, and that's been something that I've had to do over time. And so I know that, but that's just something that sometimes is really hard to remember. And so again, my goal is just to be really intentional with moving my body this year, doing it for wellness, for enjoyment, for just the fact of being able to move my body, again, like for the glory of God, but just staying patient with my progress and my growth, because it isn't something that happens overnight. I'm not going to be perfect with it and like wake up the next day and it's going to be all great. Like I know that it's a process that, we're going to grow, but also with that, I really want to celebrate consistency, as well, and just celebrate showing up every single day, or every other day, or whatever it is. Like, and even for you listening, like maybe you have a specific workout plan that you're trying to follow, or maybe not even workouts, like anything that you are trying to be consistent with, like celebrate that. Like don't always celebrate like the super big wins, or like, oh, I finally look like I want to, or I finally hit this goal, or I finally do this. Like also celebrate consistency along the way, because that's super important, and being consistent is the only way that we're going to get to where we want to be. And I think that goes for a lot of things, and we can talk about that in a little bit as well. Okay, so next, this is more like health wellness, not fitness related, but also kind of fitness related. Again, I said they all kind of go together. So fuel with whole balanced foods and eat enough to recover. So as an athlete, obviously we work out multiple times a day, and it is super important that I fuel my body with whole balanced foods, and also eating enough to recover. I think especially as women or as girls, like we can get super fixated on these type of things, but I've learned that fueling my body properly is ultimately what I need to be able to perform a certain way, to be able to recover a certain way, in a way that I need to be able to be successful on and off the field, honestly. I was actually talking to my good friend Lexi about this before I left to come back here for the start of semester 2, and we were talking about just like eating habits and different things, and just like what a gift it is from God to be able to play a sport that we love. And so it's so important that we are fueling our body properly and not be so fixated on like aesthetics, or like maybe like be so critical of ourselves, but genuinely fueling our bodies for performance so that we can glorify Him. And that was just such a cool conversation. And actually we're gonna have Lexi on the podcast at some point, which I am literally so excited about. It's gonna be so great. You guys are gonna love it. But yeah, just going back to the original resolution, just really fueling my body properly. Next is hydrate daily. This is something that is honestly really hard for me, especially over the holidays, and I think it's because I'm not in my normal routine. And here at school and at practice, like I just drink so much water throughout the day, I don't even think about it. But when I go home, it's almost like I'm not thinking about it, so I just don't. And so that's something that I really want to prioritize, is just hydrating and hydrating and hydrating, because not only do we need to fuel our body with the right foods, but also we need to hydrate our bodies. And then for this last little section, avoid extreme dieting. Like I said, as women, as girls, I think this is something that we can tend to fixate on, and I just really want to avoid that. I want to, again, like just fuel my body properly the way I need to as an athlete, and just don't be so fixated on this certain picture, or I feel like that can get really worldly really quickly, and just appreciating my body and the gift that God has given me, and fueling my body properly to be able to perform, rather than like fixating on this extreme diet for this extreme, like, you know what I'm saying. I just don't think that's necessary, and that's something that I really want to avoid in 2026. So this one's really fun, this little section. Get outside often. I love going on walks. I love going on runs. I have been battling a little bit of a knee injury recently, so I haven't been able to do those things as much, but it is still really important to me that I get outside enough. I think, number one, it's just so cool to be able to just observe and enjoy God's creation. That's something that I feel like I've really leaned into over the past couple months, like I would go on walks and like literally just like prayer walks and just enjoying creation so much. And I'm so blessed to live in Arkansas right now because it is just so beautiful, especially like around fall time. It is so beautiful here, and I was really loving my walks. But again, like I really just want to prioritize getting outside, enjoying creation. Create one slow morning weekly. So I, again, am someone who kind of like feeds on being productive. I really enjoy having a morning routine that feels productive to me. And sometimes we need to just slow down a little bit, take a deep breath, collect our thoughts, you know, maybe spend a little more time in prayer. And I really want to prioritize that one time a week, just really creating a slow morning that I can kind of just sit and breathe, collect my thoughts and everything, and not be so go all the time. So that's something that I really want to prioritize every week in 2026. Take a weekly digital detox. Okay, honestly, I love this because I have deleted Snapchat so many times. I'll like post on my story and I'm like, I'm deleting Snapchat for like a week. And it honestly is the greatest thing ever. And I honestly don't even use Snapchat. Like, I think I have someone on my best friends list that I haven't talked to in like 6 weeks. And like, that's literally, I really only have it for like group chats for softball, or like if that's how certain people and I like can stay in contact with each other. But at the same time, I find myself so much like just clicking through stories or like getting on there for no reason. And that, along with like TikTok and Instagram, like I'll just find myself watching things and it's like I literally could be doing something productive right now, which leads me into my next one: replacing screen time with things that I love. I'm a girl who loves a craft. I love art, I love crocheting, I love playing my guitar, I love drawing, painting, like reading. I love reading. Just replacing unnecessary screen time with that kind of stuff. It's really good for our mind, for our hearts to kind of expand in a creative way. So that's something that I really want to do this year, and I really am trying to prioritize. So going with the art thing, I want to create just for myself. I, again, have mentioned that I am someone who kind of likes things to be aesthetic or perfect, and I think that I get that way sometimes with things that I create, like a crochet project or an art project. And it's like, this, like, literally just do it because you enjoy it, do it because it's fun, and do it just for yourself. Like, you don't have to make it artwork that's about to sell for thousands of dollars, because it's not. So just enjoy creating and create just for yourself. And I'm really looking forward to that, to not having so much unnecessary pressure that honestly doesn't even make sense, like on things that I enjoy. And again, like that kind of goes back to the working out thing. Like, do it because you enjoy it, because you love to do it, and because God gave you the ability to do so. Finish what I start. So again, like I think this goes for so much smaller things, like, or like finish. If you started something, girl, like finish it. Like, don't just leave it because you don't like the way it looks or something. Like, create just for you, finish what you start. Or a podcast episode, like I'll record some and I'm like, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. And so then I just like won't finish it. And it's like, you could have had an episode out of that, or you could have touched somebody with what you said, like, and not even me, but God through me. But then also on like a bigger scale, finish what I start. Like, if I make a commitment to something, I really want to stick with it and follow through with that, because I think that's super important. And so, yeah, that goes for small things, big things, all of that in between, just finishing what I start. Read books that grow you. Okay, this past year, like I've always enjoyed the idea of reading, but I feel like this past year I really leaned into reading, and I found that I absolutely love it. But I love reading books that are, I don't want to say self-help, but kind of like, I love Atomic Habits. I really do like that book, but I love Bob Goff's books. I think that they just honestly grow me so much in my faith, because as much as I love reading my Bible, I love books like the ones that Bob Goff writes, because it helps me with application. And so it's really cool to be able to read the word, but then also read like books like that where I hear other people's experiences and how they apply what scripture says to their life. And but also like Atomic Habits, like I think that stuff is great too. And I also kind of want to balance the kind of books that I read, like fiction, nonfiction, self-help, faith-based, fantasy, rom-com, like whatever it is. Like, I just kind of want to expand my horizons a little bit and read books that grow me in more ways than one. And even if that's just in a creative sense, I'm okay with that. Okay, so this one is a fun category. I feel like this is genuinely kind of like my self-help category. Protect my peace. And I mean this more in a faith-based way than it sounds. My peace, the Lord gives me peace. And let's be real, that's the only way, you know. I think that there are a lot of things that are worldly that I let affect my peace and kind of disrupt my relationship with the Lord at times. And I don't want to say disrupt my relationship, but like I give too much attention to it or too much thought to things that I shouldn't, that I know are worldly. And so I really just want to really lean into my relationship with the Lord and kind of quit worrying about those things. I know it's so much easier said than done because that's kind of our human nature. But I really just want to lean in so closely with my relationship with the Lord that like those things are just so irrelevant to me. So protecting my peace in that sense. Set boundaries without guilt. Okay, I think this is such a good one, and maybe you can relate to this. I think there are a lot of times where like I just let things slide because I'm like trying to be easygoing and love everybody, but it's also like you are allowed to have boundaries. Like if there are things that don't align with your faith, with who you are, with what you believe in, like it's okay to have boundaries and like make those known. I don't know. I think that there are like some things in areas in my life, and it can be something big or small, where it's just like you have to prioritize what's important to you and your priority, which is the Lord. Like if something doesn't align with that, then like get it out. Like you don't have to tolerate that. And this sounds super serious, and I don't necessarily mean it in like a life-ending super big thing happened where it was like I needed to set boundaries, but I just mean in all aspects of my life, which kind of leads to my next one, which is like release people pleasing. That's a super big, you know, probably trait that I have that I'm very aware of, and I love to please people. And I think that just is also kind of in some people's nature, you know. I also feel like that's a first child thing. I feel like everyone I've talked to that's like the first kid is a people pleaser in some way. But I think at times, and this kind of goes with setting boundaries, like that isn't always good. You know, like you have to say yes to things that fill your cup, that bring you joy, that are, you know, life-giving, that honor the Lord. But you don't always have to say yes to things that you don't want to say yes to, or that you, again, like don't want to tolerate if those don't align with who you are or what you stand for or what you believe in. Like, I think you get the idea. And just release people pleasing. Like, also not over explaining. That's a big thing for me. Like, I will over explain to the max. Like, it could be like the simplest thing, but I want to please the other person so much that like I'm gonna try to give them the most in-depth reason of why this happened or why this happened, because I don't want them to be upset and I want to please them. Like, girl, it is not that deep, number one. But number two, like you don't have to do all that. Like, again, like protect your peace. Like, don't worry so much about things maybe that are worldly or that really don't bring you that much joy or don't have that much purpose. Like, it's not that deep. So release people pleasing, set boundaries, you know, you get the whole thing. Those are very, very big ones for me this year. Okay, speak kindly to yourself. Again, I talked about this earlier. I'm a very big person who loves things to be sometimes perfect, and I know that's unrealistic. I'm trying to let go of that. I, you know, think that as women, as girls, we can be really self-critical at times, and not even like about ourselves, like about our bodies or whatever, but I think that can also lead to, especially for me as an athlete, my performance on the field, in the classroom, whatever it is. Like, just speaking kindly to yourself. Like, we were made in the image of God, number one. He has literally given us all the tools that we need to succeed, and he's given us the ability to do so many things. So like, why are you hating on yourself, girl? Like, why? It doesn't make sense. Like, quit talking down to yourself, because number one, it's just not healthy, but number two, like, you can't grow that way, honestly. And I've learned that, like, I could be doing the most and doing things that are so good for me, but literally my self-talk is like making me crazy kind of, but also like that's not helping me grow, because I could be doing everything that I need to do, but if I'm still gonna talk down to myself, then like what's the point? You know what I mean? And so really just speaking kindly to myself, because again, like I am created in the image of God, and he's created me to be the person that I am. And again, like that's something that we grow in every single day, and that sounds so cliche, but it's true. So speak kindly to yourself this year, girl. Ask for help when needed. You know, I feel like I kind of do this, but I wanted to like emphasize it, because I think sometimes we get this idea that we have to be like, yes, independent woman, like I can do everything myself, and it's like, girl, just ask for help, like it's really okay. And like that's like small things to big things. I did just get an insane position that like, and I don't even really like talking about it that much, but like I do, because it's insane. But also like I want to stay humble about it, but it is kind of crazy. I am the new national representative for our conference, for the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and you might have absolutely no idea what that means, and that's okay too, but it's a pretty big deal. It's something that I have really worked hard for this past year. But with that, I think that there are going to be times where I have no idea what to do, no idea what's going on, and part of me wants to be like, girl, you're an independent queen, like you can figure it out, it's going to be fine. But also like I should not be afraid to ask questions when I need help. Like it's okay to ask questions. God gave us people in our life to help us and to guide us and to help us grow, and he gave us a community for a reason. And so I love that, especially for that position, but also for my faith, because there are so many times when I have so many questions, and like it's just honest, like we don't know everything about God, like even if we want to act like we're super like smart, and like there are a lot of people who are like very smart when it comes to their faith and when it comes to like theological stuff and everything like that, and I am in awe of those kind of people, because I would love to be like that as I continue to grow in my faith. But to grow in my faith, sometimes we have to ask questions. Sometimes I have to ask questions. I have to ask for help from people that I look up to, maybe some mentors, some sisters in Christ. And I think that's okay. Like, I think we need to know that that is normal, and that we need to accept that. Like, we need to ask for help when we need it, especially when it comes to our faith, because that's how we grow. God gave us community for a reason, again. And so maybe you've been needing to ask some questions about your faith. Maybe you've been needing to ask some questions about anything in general. This is your sign to do it, because that's how we grow. Let's really help each other grow this year. Let's really lean into each other and our community that God has given us, and let's help each other grow in 2026. Okay, so this one is celebrate small wins and keep promises to yourself. Again, this kind of goes with celebrating like consistency, but just celebrating the small things. Like, I think, again, like we can get so fixated on like the big picture that we don't really stop to look at like all that we're accomplishing each day and all that the Lord is blessing us with. And I think that it's super important that we do that. It's super important to know like that we have so much to celebrate each day, and we don't need to be so focused on the big picture, but also keeping promises to yourself. So this kind of goes with a lot of things. I'll give you a really small example, and like this has helped me so much in my discipline. But like if I say I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and go on a walk, go on a run, wake up at 6 a.m. and go do it. Because then like if you don't, then you don't even like trust yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get up at 6, snooze, 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 and it's like, okay girl, like you're not even like keeping promises to yourself to become the version of yourself that you're wanting to be. You know what I mean? Making decisions for where I want to be, not for what I want in that moment, if that makes sense. But again, like still celebrating small wins, still celebrate where you're at. But again, to grow, like we have to keep promises to ourselves that we're gonna take the steps that we need to in order to grow, if that makes sense. Okay, so those are all of the resolutions that I have on my phone. I do want to talk about kind of more of my faith-based resolutions for the year. So, you know, the Lord and I, we're pretty tight, but there are a lot of ways that he has shown me that I need to grow in my relationship with him, especially recently. Some eye-opening things that, you know, maybe I didn't think that I was struggling with, that I really was. And I think too, like, we all sin we just sin differently. And that's something that my mom says all the time, especially when we were growing up, and like she was teaching us about our faith, and she still says it now. Maybe when we're getting down on ourselves because we messed up or whatever it is, like we all sin, we just sin different. But I love that. That's so Southern and it's so cute. But like genuinely, I feel like we all have something that we know that we struggle with a lot. But I think then sometimes like we go over, or like we miss the things that we're also like other things that we're struggling with. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out. But yeah, like I feel like sometimes I miss other things that I am struggling with. And I feel like the Lord has really revealed those to me over the past few weeks. Honestly, since like 2026 started, because I feel like this year, and I feel like we say this every year, especially as Christians, like I really want to grow deeper in my faith this year. I really want to get close to God. And like, yes, like I want that too. Like we all want that. But I think sometimes we have to ask God, like, show me where you want me to grow. Like, show me my weakest spots right now. And not to get into too much depth, but I feel like one thing that he has really kind of opened my eyes to, I've been blessed with one of the greatest, like, Christian communities here at school. And I'm so grateful for that. Like, I literally thank God every day for where he has placed me. But with that, I think sometimes I can tend to go straight to them for advice or for, guidance or whatever it is, instead of going to God first. And like, maybe that doesn't seem super crazy. Like, again, like he gave us community for a reason, but at the same time, like our first person that we need to be going to is God. He is our priority. He's the one that is literally in control. And so really just going to God in everything. I can tend to be a very anxious person at times. And like in those moments, like instead of trying to handle it on my own, or to try and go to someone and be like, hey, I'm feeling this way, like pray. And I think everyone struggles with like certain things. Like I said, like we all have our struggles, we all have things that we deal with, but like at the end of the day, like the first person that we need to be going to is God. And like obviously I'm not giving you like a huge great example probably, but I feel like you kind of understand. Like not quit going to other people for help when we need it, but making the first person that we go to God. That's been a big one for me. And again, like I kind of mentioned a little bit that I was dealing with a knee injury, and I think God has really opened my eyes to the fact that I try to handle things on my own a little bit more than I realized. And that's okay. Like, I'm glad he has shown me that, but really giving everything to him. And especially with this injury, like, I feel like I've had one of the best fall seasons of my softball career. I'm so pumped going into the spring. Like, this has been the best year of my life physically. Like, I've been able to do so much working out. Like, I found that I can really do a lot more than I ever thought I could, and best shape I've ever been, like whatever, and those are all great things. But clearly my body was telling me, hey, we might be doing a little too much, or maybe softball is just hard on your body, which it is. But my body's telling me, hey, we need some rest. But I think through that, like, I've really tried to rush getting through this injury and getting back to playing. But at the same time, like, I really have to give it to God, because if I'm doing everything that I can do, like, I really just have to sit and pray and be like, God, number one, obviously I pray that you heal my knee, because I want to get back to playing, like, but also like just praying that God will show you what he's doing through this, because like at the end of the day, it's all gonna be fine. But again, softball is something that's very important to me, and it's definitely something that he's given me, so that I can bring him glory through that and lead other people to him through that and be a light for him. But again, like, it is something that I love to do, and it is hard when you can't play or you can't do something that you love, whatever it may be for you, whether you be an athlete or anything. I think that he's really shown me that I'm trying to handle it on my own, but I need to go to him. And even if it's not handle it, like, even if it's not in the way that I want it to be in this instant, knowing that he's gonna do something with it. And maybe I am gonna be fine, you know, maybe this week I'm gonna be fine and get to start practicing again. But at the same time, I think that can be really hard for us, in a lot of different aspects. Again, whatever it is for you, but for me, it can be really hard on my mental. It can be really easy for me to want to just, like, take control and be like, I'm gonna figure it out, like, it's fine, whatever. But going to God and asking him to help us get through it, help us see what he's doing through it, and just know that, like, also know that, like, maybe you're not gonna see in that moment what God is doing in your life or through a certain situation, but know that he's using it for his glory in some way, and that he's using it to help you grow as a person. And that's something that I've really tried to remember throughout this whole injury process, is that he is teaching me something through this. And maybe it is just so I realize, like, I can't do everything on my own, you know, like, if we're gonna follow Jesus, if we're going to be disciples, if we're going to follow the Lord, that includes surrendering everything to him. And, like, I feel like that is what he is teaching me through this. It's just fully surrendering everything to God and letting him show us the way, letting him lead us. And so, yeah, those are kind of my two big things that in 2026 I'm trying to do. Obviously, I want to be more consistent in reading my Bible and prayer, and I think that's everyone. But those were, like, the really big, eye-opening things for me that I want to prioritize in 2026 and that are essential to following the Lord. Fully surrendering everything to him and going to him first, because he is our only priority. So, with that, I am creating my vision board still. It's been a little bit longer of a process this year. You know, just super busy with life, and I'm sure you understand. But yeah, I've been loving just getting to kind of work towards my resolutions for the year. Don't forget, though, even if you are working towards your resolutions, to just sit and be present in the moment sometimes. Sit and celebrate where you're at now. Celebrate the things that God is doing in your life. But also, if you are, you know, creating resolutions, maybe you haven't even created some yet, maybe this is your sign, like, you need to. And even, you don't even need to, but I think it's such a fun way to just stay encouraged, inspired. I think having goals is really good for us to push ourselves, and maybe, like, you don't need resolutions in other areas, but I definitely encourage you to kind of just look at your relationship with the Lord and see where you can grow in that way. Maybe ask him how you can grow, how he wants you to grow in your faith. But yeah, I just hope that this was really encouraging for you, maybe inspiring. Maybe it wasn't, and you know what, girl, that's okay too. But I have a feeling that we can help each other out, that we can help each other grow. And so really lean into that, really lean into your community around you that God's blessed you with. Again, I'm always here. I would love to see your vision boards for the year. I would love to know what your resolutions are, so you can either comment them, text me them, whatever it is. Make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications if you want to stay up to date with all the episodes that are going to be coming out. Now that we kind of have a little more of a system, a little more of a setup, I've just had so much fun getting to talk about my resolutions for the year and to share those with you. I am just so excited for 2026 and to see what God is going to do this year. I literally can't wait. So I will see you guys in the next episode. With love, Ronnie.